Good evening. Patrick here, Eight Questions with, and welcome to the show. It is Thursday, and it is a chilly day here in southeastern Michigan. Our guest tonight will be multi hyphenated talent. Katrina Kusa will be here with us in about 15 minutes. Not only is she a actress and a singer songwriter, she's also competed in beauty pageants. She loves the paranormal, and she's going to college at Emerson. She has a lot on her plate, and so we'll be talking with Katrina about how she manages to balance that all out. Part of that is her remarkable mom. I got to shout out the moms here. Um, really enjoyed talking to Katrina's mother, and she's what I call a strong parent, especially when you have a young artist. Even if Katrina is 20, it's good to have a parents there to help ground you and keep you grounded without because it's really easy at 20 to go all different directions. Um, without being grounded. And a good parent, a good support base is critical during this development time. There's a lot to consider when you're someone like Katrina, who's talented as a singer and an actress, and she also, like I said, she also going to school. It could get real easy for that to get away from somebody so young. So her mom was right there and helping her guide her daughter through the pathways to this career choice that she's made. And so it's really cool. I think it's really cool. Um, and if you really want a good example of that, how a good parent, good set of parents guide their child through Hollywood, so to speak, just look at Taylor Swift. I mean, it's really probably the prototype role model. Taylor's parents kept her grounded throughout her beginning of her career. Now, think about it. You've never read a single sentence about Taylor Swift causing any sort of action or distraction. She's never gone crazy. She's just living her life. She's grounded. She knows the good people that she has around her. She believes in treating anybody with respect and kindness. And so I look at that as like a role model for any young actor or actress or singer coming up. It's like, look at that and look at how her parents guided her. And that's how you get your child. If they choose a career in entertainment, this is how you do it. And it's really weird. I'm talking about this when I guess a young man from One Direction, which was a boy band put together, and they went toured and sold millions of records. Um, well, he crashed and burned down in Brazil, Argentina, I think Argentina. Um, he just wasn't grounded. He didn't have a support system in place, and unfortunately, even if you're in your mid 20s or even early 30s, so to speak, all that stuff can come back and get you if you don't have a good support system in place when you're younger. So when stuff happens, you're ready for it. You're just not going to go like, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to take alcohol and drugs and end up on somebody's sidewalk. Um, so it's a good learning lesson. Good learning lesson. Um, I was told to ask you about your favorite actress, Sarah Jessica Parker. Uh, oh man, that could only been Hobbs. Only Hobbs or Casey would ask that question. Uh, I do have a good question for her. The biggest pageant that she's competed in. Yeah, we'll get to that for sure. Hey, Tom, how are you? Glad you're here tonight. I believe we're gonna have a great night with our guest tonight, Katrina Kusa, because I think she has a bright future ahead of her. She seems to know exactly what she wants to do with her career. I don't know these boy bands. It was fake then, it's fake now. Yeah, I don't really like cookie cutter bands either, Tom. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. Um, you get five guys and you put them together. They don't know each other really. They hobble them together, and they force feed them out onto us, and it's like, uh, yeah, I'm not a fan of that either. And they always do well. You always notice too that for the most part they always do better when they're actually solo. When they go solo, they seem to have more control of their career. Um, though they might have a hard time selling records or maybe selling out big arenas, but still, I think the trade off is worth it. I much rather be able to play a 500 to 1,000 seat room underneath my name, knowing that what I'm putting out is organic and it's real, rather than play with five guys who I didn't even know a couple of years ago, and singing in front of 50,000. I don't know who these guys are really. Anthony is up to 2005 in his memoirs. All right. I think Anthony needs to go do a live stream, and he needs to read like a chapter from his memoirs. Just read do chapter one. So what's going on, brother Max? Those who were here last night for our stream, our show with Ron Bonk from SRS Cinema, uh, absolutely had so much fun with that last night. That was a great show, and if you're a fan of movies, either as a collector or as a filmmaker, that was a good interview for you guys to listen to. Because he talks about the business, and us fans who collect movies, we get to find out what they got coming up next, how he acquires these different films, and what have you. So it was a really, really good interview, and I'm really thankful for Ron for coming out here and talking with us. And we are working on something in the future. Hopefully next week I will be able to announce it. Um, I really do hope it happens because I really want to talk to this person. Um, because 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 he's a badass. Uh, all right, good news from brother Max, doing well. Yeah, man, it's sort of nippy out here today. All right, so this is not the only show we got going on this week. On Saturday we have a matinee show with Joe Cornett. Joe Cornett will be here, and we will be talking to him about his latest novel, A Prayer for the Dying and Other Tales from the Old West. That will be at 4 o'clock Eastern time here on the channel. And then I'm going to be saddling up and heading on over to Hey Internet. It's Eric's channel Saturday night. I'll be joining him and Frenzy, along with the American Werewolf, and I'm not sure who else is coming. Um, but we're supposed to come over there and do like a round table and just chit chat and have some fun. So we will be doing that Saturday, probably about 9 o'clock or so, um, and that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be a lot of fun. And then we're back next week. We're back next week with two great shows. We're taking Wednesday off, but we're going to be talking to Lou Simone, director Lou Simone. She directed the new movie Nine Windows. We've already talked to Diana Garley, who's the lead actress in the film, but now we're going to talk to the director and the writer and see how she put it together. I'm looking forward to that too because Lou, she's got herself a nice body of work on here too. She's also worked with Jamie Bernadette, which is personally one of my favorite actresses working today, and she did a movie with Jamie Bernadette. So I'm going to be talking to her about that as well. Um, well, I should like to get Jamie on the show. Jamie, if you're watching this, call me. How cheesy was that? You love it. All right. And then, like I said, we're taking the 23rd off because I needed a whole day to prepare for a guest on the 24th as we welcome back the lovely Morrigan Milan will be here with us. Um, yeah, I can't wait. She's definitely one of my very, very favorite guests to have on the show. So much fun to talk to Morgan. She's I gotta say one thing too, and I'll say this. I've noticed one thing, we're talking about, indie films and indie actors and what have you, and it does seem like lately, and I saw this with actress Jessa Flux or Jessa Daisy. Um, I noticed that she came out and she said that that she no longer want to play parts of sex workers. She says, "Whoop, the doorbell has rang." I know we're gonna leave you on that hand. We're gonna leave you on that hook, right? Um, but believe me, it's worth it. I'll finish that thought. I'll finish that thought come Saturday. But the doorbell has rang. The doorbell has rang. So let's put that other topic away until later on. But please welcome in Katrina Kusa here on Eight Questions with. Here we go.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Katrina. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show.
Well, thank you for coming in, and thank you for your lovely mother for helping make this happen. You got a great
Oh, of course.
you got a great mom.
Oh,
Uh,
she'll love to hear.
yeah, I have seen you through her. I've seen her. She is, I would sit there and say, every actor that comes up here, I would sit there and say, if you really want to know what it's like to promote yourself or promote, yourself or somebody you really like, um, go watch Mrs. Kusa. She knocks it out of the park. She is. I've actually known of you for over a year through the various IMDb groups. Your mom
Oh,
promotes you.
wow. Yeah.
Your mom. So well. That's good though. That's good. I
Yes.
thought you're. I looked at your Instagram too, and not very many people who I've talked to on here so far has broken 100,000 followers.
Oh,
That's
wow.
great.
Oh, thank.
Did you know you're over 100?
Yes, I did. I did.
So that's
Yeah.
very, very impressive. I mean, it takes a lot of hard work to get that sort of numbers on your social media. And I do know that your Instagram page is not just there gathering bots. I know that it's being monitored and professionally
Right.
monitored. And
Exactly.
so I was thinking, man, 100,000 followers. That's impressive.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. Thank you.
So let's get this going a little bit. You are a what we call a multi-hyphenated talent, which means you do a lot of things and a lot of things very, very well. You're an actress, you're a singer-songwriter, you're a full-time student, and you also do beauty pageants. So
Yes.
that's a lot on the plate for three people, much less one 20-year-old. Um, so I guess what we'll do is to go back a little bit, and I know you're from Massachusetts.
Yes.
You're born in Massachusetts. I guess the first question I should ask is, I know people are going to ask me, but are you a big Red Sox fan?
I am a big Red Sox fan. I love the Red Sox. I love like the New England Patriots. I mean, I miss Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the best quarterback, but
Yes, it was.
yeah, yeah. Like we're big into sports, especially my dad. He loves to watch sports. The Red Sox, football, um, you name it. Yeah.
Now, is your dad one of those dads? Is he one of those fans that like he'll get after it on the TV if someone makes a bonehead play? He'll sit there and say, "Oh man, come on now,"
Yeah,
or
yeah, he does. He does. Unfortunately, but he does.
I, I love that. I used to sit there. I used to sit there and play. I used to sit playing video games, and I would be playing video games and I had to learn how to keep my voice down so I wouldn't disturb my wife who was upstairs. So I learned how to cheer or boo quietly because it's easy to lose to get emotional while watching games. It, but you know what though? But you've seen that yourself because you are a competitor. I mean,
Yes,
you've done, you competed for you were Miss Massachusetts Petite, and then you went on to
yes,
the national pageant. Um,
yes.
I heard those pageants could be rough and tough.
They can be. Yes,
Hmm.
they sure
So,
can. There's definitely a lot of things behind the scenes that you have to be ready and prepared for and just have that tough skin inside you.
Now, was this your first was this your first almost a tournament? Was this your first pageant that you competed in, or had you done anything when you were younger?
I just started in March, and my first pageant was actually the Miss Massachusetts USA pageant, which I just wanted to try it and see if I really enjoyed it. And then after that pageant, I literally signed up a week later for Miss Massachusetts Petite. And that pageant, I actually had to compete a week later for. So I had to get the dress very fast and all of my wardrobe, really be prepped, and then I just got out there on that stage, and before I knew it, I got the crown, and I was just in shock because I'm a newbie into the pageant world, so I had no idea.
Back when I was back when when I grew up in during the '70s, yeah, that old. Back in the '70s, beauty pageants were big in this country.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay.
Miss America was on prime time. Miss Universe was also on my prime time. Uh, as it was a big thing. Burt Parks used to, yeah, there, but a lot of stars, actresses got their jumps off from the Miss USA pageant. But as the
Oh,
years have gone by, it seemed like there's less emphasis on the pageants, but now it seems to be on the rise again. Like it's okay to have a pageant, and it's okay to acknowledge, young ladies' grace and poise. Um, who runs the pageants now? As far as during your experience, was it mostly ran by men or was it mostly ran by women?
well, Miss Massachusetts USA was ran by a woman. It was a whole family running it, and then Miss Massachusetts Petite was ran by a woman who's actually a former pageant competitor herself.
Yeah, that's the only thing that really got me when I started reading about pageants. I couldn't, it's like why is a beauty pageant? It's almost like fashion too, or cooking.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
why is it a pageant being run by a male? What do they
Yeah.
really know? You know,
Right.
same with cooking. Like when they say, "Well, we don't allow women in kitchens." Well, you know what? Without a woman, you wouldn't be in the kitchen either. Without
Yeah.
your mom showing you how to cook and everything else, you wouldn't be where you're at either. So why is it okay if, I mean, why is it okay to sit there and say, I know what cute is, I know what grace and poise is? You're a dude. You don't know
Right.
that. A woman, who knows all that? Um,
Yes.
so what's your experience? I mean, did you talk to about it with your parents? What did your parents say when you said that you wanted to get into the pageants? Was that something they were ready for, or were they enthusiastic about it, or were they a little bit cautionary?
They didn't think I would sign up to be a part of it at the beginning. I was talking about it with my mom, and she just told me, "Okay, sign up." And she thought how I was talking about it was more like a joke or more of a conversation type of way. But I did sign up for it, and I don't know. I think my parents were definitely cautionary about it, especially with my mom for my safety and what she heard about in the past, with how there's different like bullying things going around behind the scenes, and that there's favoritism amongst like the girls and like the judges. But other than that, it was a positive experience for me, and I definitely learned a lot from it.
Did you see that? Did you see that firsthand? All the things that you feared. Did you get that from that, or was it a pretty good vibe? Was it like it was fun?
It was definitely fun, I would say. They definitely spoke a lot about bullying and how it occurred in the past, which I really liked a lot because that's a huge problem, especially in the pageant community, having competitors not really keep up with that sisterhood. So I was really glad that they really promoted about that issue of bullying.
I just want to go to the chat real quick and say hi to all the people that have come in. Thank you guys all coming in. Melissa Wildcard, thank you for coming in. Hey, Mike, all the way from the UK coming in and saying hello, hello. Brian at Graph Productions. You're new here, so welcome in, welcome in. No, Brother Max was here, and Brother Max is here, and Miss Betty J. Gathers is here. I mean, so I wonder if the frog will be right behind her. Probably so, probably so. And our good friend Stephen, of course, Stephen Chang is here as well. Um, Thank you all for coming in. Share us out if you care to do so. That would help the channel out if you can. Thank you. Um, so I'm glad to hear that it was, yeah, I'm glad they addressed that, because that
Yeah.
is true, I guess, the bullying. It sort of makes you wonder though, like what exactly would you bully? How do you get a bully? How do you, in a beauty pageant? To me, I would think you're right. It's all about the sisterhood. You're all there for one reason. You're all there because you're all, and it's not just looks. You're all there because you're driven. You want better for your life. A lot of there's a lot of pageants offer a lot of. They used to offer. I still think they do. Scholarships and trips and ambassadorships. Uh,
Yes.
uh, you go to a lot of places and representing not only yourself and your family, but you're representing your state. And
Exactly.
I think it'd be. I think it's just like I don't understand how anybody like would want to embarrass not only themselves but their families and whatnot. When you won, what was the next step? Did they take you aside with your parents and sit there and say congratulations, and did they just bring out an itinerary for you, and did you have to match it up with your schoolwork, or did you have to make a commitment to doing what they want, what they wanted you to do for a year?
Yes. So when I won, after everybody left, we stayed backstage, then came back on the stage, took pictures, and then we went backstage again. And that's when she started handing out contracts for all of us to read. And she was really great about that and very informative. And she really told us what to expect moving forward and how to promote the pageant that we are being represented by. And because we are truly are an ambassador, and she really wants great representation for her company and for the pageant that we are a part of. So she did explain a lot about representation, keeping up with our duties. I was very lucky because the next pageant, which was the national pageant Petite USA, was done over the summer. So it did not interfere with my school at all, which I was very grateful for.
Right.
And for the pageant itself, I always am a busy girl, I would say. So to me, I just got used to having that busyness during the weekends, or after school I would go around and do my duties. So yeah.
Um, we got a question for you too, and from Melissa. She wants to know how long ago was that when she last won? Was that March you won?
Correct, yes.
So March of 2024. So you still got a little bit of rain to go here. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just because the national is over with, you're still out there as an ambassador. What
Yeah.
are some of the things that you what's some of the loot that you got? We all want to know about the loot. So what did you win for winning Miss Massachusetts?
So I won the title because I am Miss Massachusetts Petite for 2024. And then also I have different festivities that I'm invited for. So festivals, parades around towns, and just having the sisterhood and that opportunity to create new connections, which I absolutely love.
Was there any scholarships awarded for winning? Did you get anything towards your education?
No, no.
Oh,
This
that's
one was more platform based.
okay. That's a
Yes.
little okay. Well, still, you get to go out there. It's still a great feather on your cap. I mean, not anybody can sit there and say they won Miss Massachusetts Petite in 2024, except for you. So there you go. What's been your funnest experience so far in as far as outside the national? Well, was the national was the national what was that like compared to the state pageant? What was it like? What did you feel the pressure more on the state level, or did you feel it more on the national level?
I felt it more in the national level for sure. National level, there were all kinds of girls from different states across America. And during in the state level, it was more just Massachusetts girls and girls across New England. So it was a whole different setting, different feeling, different atmosphere. And also in the nationals, I had to fly all the way to Chicago, Illinois, which I've never been to Chicago before. So it was really an interesting experience for me to go to. So it was definitely a fun experience though.
Now, afterwards, after the contest was over with and you could relax a little bit,
Yeah.
did you have Chicago deep dish?
No, no. We flew home literally the day after the pageant was done.
Oh my
We were
gosh.
so ready. We were so ready. We were so ready to go home.
Was it really tough? I mean, how long were you there for a week, or were you there just for 3 or 4 days?
3 or 4 days. It was tough
Wow.
though.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, it
rough.
was yeah. It was tough. Every single day we had a schedule and we had to follow that schedule from 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning till 6 p.m., 7 p.m. at night. And we practiced our walking, our interview questions, and then we had an interview day. And then it was just competition time. So we had our preliminaries and then our finals.
Okay. Uh, how did you prepare for that? Did they tell you what some of the questions they would be asking you? So you could get prepared for it, or were they just like this setting where you didn't know what was coming?
I worked with a really great pageant coach. Her name is Alyssa Latham. She is absolutely great. She helped me a lot with my pageant choreography, as well as my resume for the pageant, and then interview prep as well.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Brian saying congratulations. Melissa says she used to watch Miss USA and Miss Universe all the time. Me too. Um, let's see. I guess who would say win a lot of times. Yeah, you know what? Were there was I mean, all the girls that you competed with in the nationals, they all had won their own states, right?
Yes, yes.
Now, did you make any good friends? I mean, did you?
I did. I made a few new friends, as well as I had connections from my previous pageant as well, because there was also T New England and Ms. New England. So it was really great that I actually had old friends that I knew and stay connected with, as well as creating new friendships out in Chicago.
Now, was that your first plane trip?
No, no.
Okay. Uh, well, yeah, because sometimes there's everything for a first time. Now, do you think your acting background helped you?
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely did.
And how did you get into becoming an actor? Did acting come first, or did singing songwriting come first for you?
Believe it or not, it was writing that came first. When I was 8 years old, back when I lived in Florida just for 7 years of my childhood, and when I grew older, I started to write when I was 8. And I really got interested in the PowerPoint presentations because we had computer class at school. So I just was always an innovative kid and always wanted to experiment on new things. So I created a story on a PowerPoint presentation called Strange Happenings, inspired by Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. And then after that, then came the songwriting, the singing, and then the acting when we moved back to Massachusetts.
Now, what do you what was your inspiration for the writing? I mean, do you remember, what writers did you enjoy reading? Because you must have been reading probably around two. I'm thinking about you probably were already reading by the time you're 3 or 4, right?
Yes, yes. That's a
Yeah.
great story because I did have trouble with reading when I was very little. And I remember reading those little Bob books. And every night before bedtime, I used to read those little books. And then when we moved to Florida, that's when I started really developing my reading skill. And I just remembered I used to go to Barnes and Nobles with my mom, and I always went into the children's section, got a book, and I always read it before we headed off to the cashier and before my mom paid for the book. And she always told me to not read the book before we bought it, or else she wouldn't get it for me. And I just remember those memories I will keep in my heart forever. So that's
You read the book before without buying it.
yeah, yeah, I was a fast reader. Yes.
Katrina, guilty. I did. I did the same thing. I would go.
Yeah.
I go to Barnes and Noble, and I go to Barnes and Noble, and I'd be waiting for the latest novel from my favorite writer at the time, and I would get a coffee. I get a coffee and a chair, and then I sped read that thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you ever get? Yeah, I mean, I did that, and I was an adult. And so
Oh,
there was a couple of times where the staff would come up there and see me doing that, and they're going like, we see," because I go through it like an hour and a half. And that was good for one refill of Starbucks, 53 cents, by the way. And
oh,
I sit there and read that, and then they would come up there and say, are you gonna buy that? And I'm like, no, I just finished it.
oh my goodness.
So yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Uh, but it's cool that your mom took you to the store, and were you able to get a book every time that you visited?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
always. I would
See,
always leave with a book.
your mom has it dialed in right. Yeah, your mom. I take it your mom's a big reader as well.
She is. She is.
Yeah,
Yes.
mine was too. My mom read a lot too. Um, I used to borrow her books when she'd come in there with these big novels, and sit there, and I'd be speed reading them. I'd be speed reading them. Did you read that? I said, yeah. It was a book called Centennial. It's like 1,400 pages. And
Oh
she says,
my
I don't
god.
believe you. I says, I don't believe you. I says, well, go to a section of the book. I'll tell you what it is. And so she did, and I did. And she's like, that's amazing. But that was a gift I got from her. Um,
Yeah.
so your mom bought you book every time you went to Barnes and Noble. So you must have had a nice little library. So who was your favorite writer? I mean, both small and as you got older. Do you have any favorite authors right now?
I do actually. When I was very little, I used to love Edgar Allan Poe. And then I used to love the Grimm brother tales, Hans Christian Andersen. And then when I was super little, I used to love the Magic School Bus, and then the Magic Tree House, and then different series of books as well. And my school was also very big into reading time too. So I would always grab a book from school, from our library, and I would always take it home. So I was very lucky to have a school that really promoted reading versus having an iPad on your hands and like reading something digitally. So I was really grateful to be able to actually be a part of that when I was little.
Now, that's an interesting question because you go to school at Emerson. Uh, do college classes, do they make you do write by tablet now, like like they pass out your homework? Do they make it so that you have to look at a tablet, or do you have an option of doing it via paper?
We have to look at it through a digital screen right
That's
now. Yeah.
they say, they always say, well, books and tuition, and it's like, I don't even know if half these colleges even know what a book is anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. And some textbooks we don't even have in the printed version. We have it in the digital version only,
and,
which
and
is
yet they'll
crazy.
still and yet they'll still charge you an arm and a leg for it too.
Exactly. Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say, how old were you when you if you start you wrote and you enjoyed it. So what came next for you after after the writing part? Was it singing or was it acting?
It was the singing.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say.
yes. So after when I published my first book at 12 years old, and I wrote the book at 10 called The Kingdom of the Lizards, which is an absolutely beautiful, inspiring tale, and it's a children's book. I started really getting inspiration through music because I played the piano, and one day I just sat down and I started creating chords at first. And then I started creating lyrics with the chords, and I played it to my mom. And then after that, we decided, why don't we just record this song in a recording studio nearby us, and then just see what happens next. So that was the next journey from there.
Let's see. Melissa's going, "Hey, Van City, how are you?" Melissa's going like she loves digital books. I'm just too old for that. I find paper books to be more developmental. And I don't know. It seems like to develop your imagination. The children's book that you wrote when you're at 12. Um, did you ever follow that up? Have you ever followed up with another book? Because I know writing and getting a children's book published it's harder to get a child's book published than it is a novel. Did you know that?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, I knew that. There's lots of competition, definitely in the literary industry. Lots of competition.
yeah.
And I did self-publish the children's book called The Kingdom of the Lizards through Simon and Schuster, and it's called Archway Publishing, which is a self-publisher under them. And then after that, I continued with writing another story called There Once Was a Cat, which is now signed with an agent down in New York City. And then I have a young adult novel that I am currently working on right now called The Strange Stillness of Time, which is a supernatural novel.
Now, now, I guess this is a big question here for us today. How do you do this? How do you balance it out to where you have all these activities going on plus school? Where do you find yourself to find stuff that where do you find time for just Katrina?
I find the time when I can. I always love to go exercise, walk outside, hang out with friends. I always find the time one way or another. I've always had. I think it has something to do with just maintaining my schedule and just learning from a very young age how to maintain my schedule on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, that's a hell of a schedule. I mean, it really is.
Yes.
And you go to school full time. If you weren't going to Emerson full time, I would sit there and say, okay, because I've seen people can handle that. But you're going to school full time, plus you got all these other activities going. Does your mom basically is she the one that walks up to you and says, slow down? Is she your guiding force in that respect?
She has told me that. She has told me to slow down, relax for the rest of the day. She has told me lots of things before, like
Yeah,
slow down, take your time, don't rush.
I
Yeah,
love
plenty of time. Yeah.
because most parents in this situation, where your situation is, they would put the pedal to the metal,
Yeah,
and they would make you do all these crazy things all at once. And the thing
I
is,
know,
look, you could do that, but eventually you would crash and burn. Um,
right.
so knowing that your mom's right there with a hand on your shoulder saying, "I got you. Don't burn yourself out. Stay grounded." That's probably that's amazing. That's
Yes,
again nothing but respect for your parents. They seem to have done it 100% right by you. And
yes,
you are blessed. You are blessed to
yes.
have, you are blessed to have two great parents.
Oh,
Um,
thank
let's see. Back to the chat. They're engaging here. Katrina has many jack of trades, a little of everything. Yes, yes. And Melissa, you love supernatural stories. Me too. I also love mysteries. Van City Adventure is here. It says a friend of mine is part of the team running Miss America. That's cool. That is really cool. Is that something? And there's our friend Frog. I knew he'd be behind Betty J. That's cool as hell too. Glad you're here, Frog. Let's just ask you one question. She says, "Are you going to try for the Miss America? Are you going to try for Miss America next? Is that something you considered?"
We will see. I definitely have a lot on my plate at the moment, but we will see what the next chapter will happen because it could just be a surprise and who knows, maybe I will try out. But currently I am focusing on my writing school right now currently. But I will just have to see.
Where did you? I'm just curious. Where did you place that in the national contest?
I did not place in the national contest, but there was a lot of controversy about that because lots of the girls thought I should have placed in the national contest. Yeah.
So
So
there's still politics being played in pageants.
yeah,
I
right.
think
Exactly.
I think that's always I think that's always been like that. It's so subjective, right?
It
We used to
is.
have what we have back when I was in music. We used to have what they call Battle of the Bands, and they would
Oh,
have like we have like 8 or 9 bands play, and definitely the one was the best. Or if you watch The Voice or American Idol, you can listen to the
right.
singers, and you already know which one's the best. But there they are being voted off in the second week, and you're going like, that is not the best singer. I mean, that's the best singer. That the one who's winning is the best. But it's all
Yeah,
about the public perception, right? Uh,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
but still, that's not going to take away anything from your experience, right?
No,
You
no, no.
no, I hear that in your voice that yeah, I didn't win, but I'm not going to let that. It's not going to eat at me. No,
No,
it's
no,
not.
no. I just learn from it and move on.
Yeah.
That's it.
Uh,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit because I had to, right? Uh, um, talk to us a little bit about the cat book.
Oh my goodness. So There Once Was a Cat is an absolutely charming tale. It teaches us the message about taking care of our animals and it shows us what some people do to their animals and how they treat them very poorly. Because we see lots of animals now on the street and they are left abandoned. So this tale is an example of that and how a cat befriends a canary and they team up together and they take care of each other through what happened with their owners because their owners abandoned them and they have to go on through this journey
Now
together.
this is your young adult book, I take it.
No, this is a children's book, the cat book.
Ho-
There Once Was a Cat.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
That's a heavy. That's heavy. That's pretty heavy for a kids book. Uh, I mean, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, it can. I mean, I guess that it works because I saw a Disney one called Kit Bull that was absolutely a beautiful piece of film, and it was heavy too, but it was aimed for young people. I guess young people now, I think they're probably a little bit more. Maybe they can accept things a little bit better than we could back when we were younger, in that respect. But yeah, there are way too many homeless cats out there. Um, and is that a problem in Boston for dogs and cats?
It is. It is a big problem. Yeah. Lots of people, like the big problem is lots of people leave their pets out during the winter time on the leash by the tree and they just forget about them, which to me that's unbelievable to even imagine that a person could just leave their pet out in the cold freezing and just leave him there. It's really sad and I constantly see advertisements about it too across New England with homeless dogs and cats and shelters. And I really hope that this issue will be solved soon.
Now, are you allowed to bring up something that you want to do underneath your reign? Let's say that you went to the organizers and you said, I want to do something. I want to do a PSA about this problem. I want to do that. Can
Yes,
you do that? Are you allowed to approach them and sit there and say, I want to do a PSA and this is what I want to do it on. I want to do it on cats and dogs, in the wintertime. And
yes,
they would wow. So is that
they would.
something to think about?
That is something I actually did talk about for my platform. I wanted to create a documentary in families across Boston who are dealing with domestic violence, domestic abuse, homicide, um, suicide. So things like this that is going on across our different little towns, suburbs across Boston, around Boston. So that is something that I really wanted to promote with my platform and that I wanted to achieve. So I am actually currently working on a project right now that has something to do with that issue going on. And I'm really excited to be able to promote that soon.
Just something to throw your way. I mean, you can do with it, or talk to the organizers. But I know that Purina Dog Chow, Purina Pet,
Oh,
the
yeah.
food
Mhm.
company,
Yes, yeah.
they have started running ads in magazines stating about when there is domestic violence. A lot of the times, an animal will get left behind and take the brunt of the abuse from the abuser. Now that there are more and more shelters that are acknowledging the fact that an animal is part of the a victim of the abuse just as much as just as much as the other the woman, or the man in that case, and that they're being allowed to bring their animal with them to the shelter, because a lot of women will not leave a home. They will not leave a home, like, with their kids are there, or their pets. They won't do it, and of course that
Wow.
could lead to further tragedy. But now shelters are actually sitting there saying you can come and bring your animal with you. Just
Wow.
something to throw your way if you wanted to contact Purina and sit there and say, I would love to partner with you on doing a PSA. You might get something might come out of that.
Yeah, I will
Um,
definitely take that into account. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
no problem. You can handle that. I'm sure they would be totally blown away, to have, someone, in a public eye.
Yeah,
This is where pageants, uh, are so beneficial, because
right.
now you get someone, now you have a platform to share what's on your heart. So why not home? Why not, protecting and dogs and cats?
Yeah.
I'm all in for that. Uh,
Yeah.
so so you got the books going on. Now, how do you find time to write? Right now you're in school. So
Yeah.
how do you take time to write not only your homework, but also like your creativeness as far as, writing for your books and or writing for your songs? I mean, there's only 24 hours a day. Do you alternate your writing? Do you like, I'm writing the books on Monday, I'm songwriting on Tuesday, I'm taking Wednesday off. Thursday, I'm writing about the animals. Friday, I'm writing a new song. How does that work for you? How do you balance that?
I do actually, like you just said it perfectly. I do alternate my days with what kind of writing, what kind of style of writing I will do. So one day I will just dedicate a few hours to the book, another day to songwriting, and another day with screenwriting, another day with something else, and it just moves on just like that, a full on pattern.
That's that is, and you act as well. We're going to get to that. I want to touch bases with the singing first. When did you decide that you wanted to, become a singer, or is that something that, when did you decide you wanted to try that?
When I was 12, I wanted to try it. And then that's when I created my first song, No Good For You. And then after that, I created my song shortly after called Not Perfect, which is my favorite song. And then you can find it on my YouTube channel as well, Not Perfect.
Okay. Did you have any inspiration, or do you have any favorite singer songwriters or bands that you listen to that inspired you?
I love listening to the 80s music as well as some pop singers today, for example, Dua Lipa. And I have like a full on range with music. I don't really have a consideration with a favorite artist. I love having an open mind and just listening to all kinds of music. And with my style as well, I wanted to create something modern, but also something that we can all have nostalgia from.
You know Boston has a very rich musical history, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
A lot of great bands came out of Boston. A lot of ska bands, punk bands, pop punk bands, college bands. Um, in fact, one of the very first bands I ever booked was a band called Bob Evans, and they were from
Oh,
Boston.
wow. Oh, wow.
Um, yep. So they call themselves Bob Evans, and then at the not a week just went by. Then I saw another one called the Orange Roughies, also from Boston. This is way back. This is way back in the late '80s, and yeah. So Boston has a great musical history. Where do
It
you go
does.
out do you get to go out to concerts very much, or have you played out live anywhere? Have you played out at a like a coffee shop or anything like that? Or
I haven't, yet currently because of COVID happened, and then after that, I got busy with the acting and the writing, but I really hope that very soon I will be able to do that because a lot of my fans and listeners have been asking, "When will I perform live?" And I did do it when I was 13. I did perform on on stage, back in Florida, but since then I haven't had the chance to, but I would really love to once again.
when you were in Florida, was there any talk? Do you remember any talk with you and your parents about doing anything with Disney? Did you ever consider going up there and trying to hook up with them, or did your mom said, I ain't going there?
When I lived in Florida, there wasn't really I wasn't really much into like the acting side that much, and with the music, I was just getting started. But there was talk about it, 100%. There was talk, but my parents were always very intentional, and they always were cautious on taking the next step onto that, especially a big name like Disney.
Yeah,
And
Disney doesn't have a they have a rough track record for
they do.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would not want my kid doing Disney. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, they
yeah.
do, they do.
Let's see. I'll swing back to the chat right here. Melissa's mentioned that she's adopted two cats. I think two cats. They're bonded, and they got them both. I love that. Yep, and she acts. Have you acted? I'll get to that. That's a good question. I'll get to that real quick, Melissa. And let's see. And YouTube. Yes, she does have a YouTube channel. Um, Hi Cheryl, how are you? Hopefully you landed safe and sound up there in the great white north. Um, that's right. Hopefully everything's going well for you up there and getting settled in. Um, so yeah, let's talk a little bit about the acting. So you go ahead and you got the music going, you got writing gone. Um,
Yes.
now it slides on over to acting. So was this is your idea that you wanted to try it out? And so, how did you take your first steps into becoming an actress as well?
I started acting in film and TV when I moved back to Massachusetts, but in Florida, the year before I moved, I did act in a play in my local town, The Secret Garden, and I was Jane Sowerby, one of the supporting roles, and she was a maid, and I absolutely loved to play her, and it was an absolutely fun experience. I had so much fun being on set and in that kind of atmosphere, and I absolutely loved it.
Let me bring up your YouTube channel real quick, so I could drop it in the chat, so people can go over there and say hello to you. There it is. Yeah, we have to talk to you about your nickname. Explain what the nickname is.
Wig. Wig is my nickname for music primarily, and it's W exclamation point G because when I love performing, I always love to wear a different wig, and it characterizes my personality. Um, and it just shows a little bit about myself because I'm also quite the fashionista. Also behind the scenes. So I love to dress up and I love to play different role, different character, and it's something that really sparks my day and brings me like light onto my day when I dress up as a new entity for the day.
Now you're going to Emerson to become an actress, right? That's what you're studying right
I
now.
am studying film right now, so visual media arts, and I'm more focusing on the producing side and the screenwriting side. So I would really love to work with crime documentary style films as well as screenwriting for horror genre.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you just said the magic word here. So horror is a good place to be. Um, what are some of the what are some of the what are, as far as acting goes? Who are some of the people you look up there for inspiration as well?
I love to look up towards Johnny Depp, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Oh my goodness. Michael Douglas, Sharon Stone. There's so many. I love all the great actors out there. So there's so many. I love to watch different kinds of movies in all different genres. And I learn a lot from how all actors play their part. And I hope to take something from that when I audition and when I act in a certain role for a project that I'm a part of.
Have you found screenwriting to be more of a challenge to, say, short story writing, children's story, or a novel writing? That's how's screenwriting for you different from the other mediums?
Screenwriting to me is a whole different language you have to learn right from scratch. It's a whole different language. It's like almost to me, it reminds me like of mathematical equation in a way. It's difficult to begin, but once you get that code in, it you just fly right by with screenwriting. And with the writing itself, it feels like you have way more opportunities to explore when you're just writing like freelance, for example, a different story. But with screenwriting, there's different things you actually need to include. That's part of the rule for screenwriting.
So do you watch like big movies for this? To you mentioned a lot of A-listers there. Do you watch a lot of big studio movies, or do you like watching some of the smaller movies where you could actually where everything's a little bit smaller and you could take more you can get more out of the indie film. I always felt they get more of an indie film than a big ass production, as
Right.
far as ideas or screenplays. How do you feel about that?
I love watching horror independent films a lot that are very low budget and that you really see how these indie film directors and producers, cinematographers created a project. And I really go and focus on the Blair Witch Project a lot because it was created on a super low budget and it became successful. So that is something that is a project super successful and like inspirational for me. And I love to watch also big studio projects as well, but mostly for horror film projects
Uh,
specifically for that.
did you like the Blair Witch Project?
I did, yes, I did.
Good for you. Way too many people got their feelings hurt by that movie. A lot of people say they not only don't like it because you got took because they fooled you. They fooled everybody.
Right,
Everybody thought that movie was real, and all of a sudden, then also, yeah, and they did such a great job of
yes.
marketing. And the thing is, so
Oh,
people fell
absolutely.
for it. They believed it. They're following the market, and all of a sudden, it's like watching somebody get scared at a haunt.
Right,
They turn the corner or a jump scare. They jump.
yeah,
And all of a sudden they sit there. I didn't jump. I didn't jump. Make sure nobody saw them, but they did. And it's
no,
like
they
there's nothing wrong with that. It's like that's amazing. It's like that's cool. I mean, some
yeah,
filmmakers did their job. A
it
friend of yours has come in. Vilma lives in L.A. Or Louisiana. Hi, Katrina. Vilma here saying hello. Katrina is the best. Let's see. And Cheryl says plane had to turn around and then back at the same airport. Boarding again soon. You better not be on one of those Mayday episodes, Cheryl. I'll be rather cranky if you are. Um, uh, uh, so yeah, what other movies do you like? I mean, do you and your parents watch movies together? Do you guys pick them out together, or are there some things that you watch by yourself?
My mom and I love watching movies together. Every time when I come home, we try to watch movies together every single night in the living room. And it's a great like bonding time for me and my mom. And we both have the same taste in films and what we want to watch. So it's absolutely great. And another projects that we actually love to watch is Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures, which is completely different style of film. But because I am also, believe it or not, a paranormal investigator, I love to watch the scenes where they go to and the settings and what do they capture on camera in different paranormal settings.
Yeah, Massachusetts is a hotbed of paranormal activity,
Oh,
isn't it?
100%. 100%. It is. Yes.
Now, I take it Halloween is very important to you as well. The spooky season, we're in the middle of the spooky season. Even though you're 20 years old, I still got to ask this, but do you still dress up to go out for trick or treat, or are you at home now passing out the candy?
I still go out dressing up. I don't go trick or treating though, but I
Oh,
love I don't go trick or treating though, but I love to dress up with my friends and we love taking pictures. And I hope to do this again this year. But last year I went to the Ghosts and Gravestones tour in Boston. And my friends and I went on the bus and we were learning about the different dark history around Boston. And we went to different sites that paranormal activity has occurred.
have you ever experienced any paranormal activity as of yet?
I have, yes. I have. When I was 4 years old, that was my first time I actually experienced something paranormal.
That actually rings true because most children they have most kids between 4 and 12, 13, they experience the supernatural more than adults do. They're more open
Mhm.
to it
Yes,
than I don't know how or why that works, but it is true.
it is.
Yeah, it is true. Have you ever seen the movie The Exorcist?
I have. Yes, I
And
have.
did you get scared?
Not really. No. No.
Not really. Oh my
No,
god.
not really. No. Like the movies that really scare me most is like those Texas Chainsaw like massacre movies. Movies like those, that's what scares me, like, it's more like a disgusting, like, scare, like, in a way,
Like
um,
you like slasher movies more than supernatural. See, I'm a supernatural guy. I love the
I
supernatural.
I love Supernatural more. My most favorite horror series is probably the Conjuring series, for sure.
That's not a bad one. That's not a
No,
bad one.
no, it's not bad. I mean, there's some controversy about it, but other than that, it's great. I can always watch it every single year. It's
I
watchable.
I love the second one. I thought the second one was so good. Was
Oh,
so
yes,
good.
yes.
That was based on the infill incident in the UK. That was a good one. That was my favorite one of The Conjuring. Let's see. Back to the chat. Let's see. Cheryl says she too loves horror movies. That's right. She has seen some of my reviews and some of the movies that we covered. Though we did cover some cowboys too. Um, you should. Vilma says you should showcase her latest single, Orbit. I will definitely do that. I will put the single on on her page. Do you have Spotify?
I do have Spotify, yes.
So we will put Spotify on there. Put a link to Spotify and highlighting the single. Let's see. Melissa says she loves Halloween, holiday, and movies. Yeah, I you know what though I love a good Halloween movie. I do. So I think are you gonna to go see Terrifier 3?
I think I am going to see it. I saw the trailer. It looks really good. I'm excited.
Okay, so whenever I talk about Terrifier, I'll see if anybody in the chat's been paying attention. Why do I like Art the Clown? Why is Art the Clown our favorite horror icon of 8 Questions With? If I tell you, you'll just did you ever see the first one?
No, no. No.
So yeah, so yeah, there's Stevens because he likes cats, and that is absolutely true. Art the clown, Art the clown likes cats. I asked the actor David Howard Thornton. I said, is Art a cat guy? And he says, absolutely. Art loves cats and he loves dogs. So all of a sudden, that just made him my favorite horror icon forever. Art can do no wrong now. Uh, but that's true. That's true. He does. That's the reason I love about Art. He loves cats. You have to watch it. Once you see it, then well, yeah. That's a it sort of takes a sting away from the movie. Like
Okay,
when you have that humorous moment, have all that
right.
tension up, all that you're just waiting for the big jump, and all of a sudden here comes a cat or a dog in there, and it's like, oh, it's a dog, it's a cat, and then you relax. Um, let's see. Melissa, she liked the first one, but didn't like the second one. Yeah, I don't think there are cats in the second one. I think that's probably why. Um, what are some of the things that you that what are some of the what was your first movie that you acted in? Let's go with that. What was your first movie that you walked on set with, and what do you remember of the experience?
The very first project that I've acted in was actually a commercial in Fenway Hospital, I remember. And it was my very first time going on set. And we actually filmed in a real hospital, and it was in Boston. And I just remembered the crew was very nice. And they taught me how to see some of the equipment, the lighting. I saw other cast members, and I remember it was a very inviting, great experience, and that experience just allowed me to act even in more projects.
Now, how do you prepare for a character? I mean, how do you create your characters? What's your process? And you're gonna play you're playing a role, and maybe you have to roll around in the dirt, or you have to have a fight with somebody, or maybe you have to say some salty words. How do you create your character to get ready for your role?
So I always try to think like my mindset, like the character. I always try to go into my character's shoes. So I always have in my notes writing descriptions of the characters and then learning about the character's stakes, what's the reasoning behind the scene that they're in. And that just really helps me, especially with like the beats in the scene, the growth of the character in the scene, how will they react to the character that they're acting within the scene. So things like this I think about, and that just has really helped me a lot with my acting career.
What has been the hardest character that you've had to play where where you just had a hard time getting a grip on the character, like you just weren't feeling it, or it's just maybe a little bit difficult to play. What has and then speaking of that, what has been the most difficult part you played?
I was playing a very vulnerable girl, like innocent. Like I did not have the same experience as that girl, that I acted for because it was more of like that type of genre that it was psychological, which I absolutely love psychological genres. But I just remember I had to really sit down and think about the character's emotions and really had to get that down deeply so I wouldn't look fake on screen. I remember.
Can you watch yourself on screen? Can you watch yourself work?
I can, yes, I can.
I would.
At the beginning, it was not easy, but I learned.
Yeah, I always wonder why would anybody, like I've you met talk to many actors, and they'll sit there and say, "I don't like to see myself on. I don't like to watch myself." And I've always been. It's always curious for me. It's like, why not?
Right.
Especially when you're rocking it. Like like so. I really don't want to. Maybe he got killed in a movie. Maybe he had a death scene, and it's like it
Yeah.
was a great death scene. It's like, why would you be afraid to watch it? Because it's great. You did great work. Um,
Yes.
have, have you had to play that yet? Have you had to do a death scene yet? You been killed on screen yet?
I have. Yes.
Oh,
I have.
okay. So let's talk about that. And was your mom on set with you when you did the scene?
My dad was at
Okay.
that set. He was, yeah.
How did he react to that, Katrina?
Well, he knew I had to scream, and I think he kind of so he went away, he went outside because it was multiple times I had to scream because I got axed on the head. So
Yeah, that
that's
would do
like
it.
a terrible way to die. But
Yeah.
no, I think like he understands like each character has their own path and their own reasoning behind why they're in a film, and they all have their conclusions as well as their own beginnings and their own character arcs. So yeah.
What was the movie that you died in?
I cannot say right now because
Oh,
it'll
it's
be
not.
coming out soon, but
uh,
it's a horror movie, and it's like Chainsaw Massacre a little bit.
Okay. Well, at least you didn't die that way. I mean, if you had to
No, no,
die by,
not that way.
would you rather die by a chainsaw or by axe?
By an axe. Yeah, by an axe. I mean, I wouldn't wanna die, like, in either of those ways, but definitely by the axe, definitely for sure.
Hello, Michelle. How are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Michelle is also an interviewer as well, and she does fun things on her YouTube channel. Yeah, that's see. Melissa says that she has 3 movies. The 3 movies ever scared her were is Halloween, Cujo, and Darkness Falls. Wow, yeah, Cujo was that's a heartbreaking movie. I don't consider I don't co- Cujo is not a horror film in the traditional sense. That's just a heartbreaking movie. Have you seen it?
I have not, no.
Yeah. Stephen King wrote it.
Oh,
Stephen King
wow.
wrote so he wrote
Okay,
the book, and highly recommend reading it before watching the movie though. Highly
okay.
recommend it. But it's a really sad story. It's not a
Mm,
horror. I don't consider it a horror movie. I mean, not the traditional. It's a horror movie, but we're watching through the wrong set of eyes about it. Uh,
okay.
uh, yeah, it's one of his. Do you like Stephen King? Do you like reading his books?
I do, yes, I do love reading his books. I have a few of, his books actually in my library.
Oh, okay. Oh, you have a personal library.
Yeah.
Okay. How many books do you own?
Oh my gosh, like hundreds of books, probably, like over 500 books,
Oh gosh,
probably even more
you and my
because
sister would be best friends.
because
My sister.
I have all kinds of books in different languages, cooking books, just you name it, and I probably have it. It's crazy.
How many languages do you speak?
I speak 4 different languages.
English. And what are the other 3?
English, Russian, Spanish, and French.
Okay. Okay. That's amazing. Now, have you been to Europe? Have you been to Russia?
I have, yes. I've been there once. Yes.
Okay. What was your impressions of it?
It was a lot cleaner and different from what I've expected, what I've heard, rumors about. I wouldn't wanna go there now, of course, but
Mm.
I think back then it was, like, the perfect time to go, for me, personally, and I got to meet my grandfather for the first time, which was great. And I was in seventh grade at the time, and I just remember he was in awe and such surprise. And it was really great to being able to have that direct communication with him and getting to be around with my language and developing that skill of language. So it was really great. I got to meet my whole family background in Russia. So it was great.
Now, do you practice at home when you're at home? Do you speak the different languages? Because I take it your parents are bilingual as well, right? Or
My
multilingual.
my dad only speaks English, but my mom and I we both speak Russian together. So and
Okay,
then the other two languages, Spanish and French, I've learned at school and with tutors.
okay. Why did you feel like you needed? Was that something you felt you needed for your career? I mean, as far as acting goes, did you feel like is that the reason why you did it for become an actor, or was this something you just wanted to do for yourself?
So Russian, I talk with my mom since I was 2 to 3 years old with her in Russian, so that was a given. And Spanish, I learned actually when I was in school, and I learned right from first grade all the way to high school. And then French, I really wanted to learn French as well. So my mom found a tutor for me after school, and I would go to her and learn French. So that was great.
I've been, I'm just so impressed with your skill set, and it's just amazing. You have so many things that you do and do very well at. The other thing I asked is how do you balance that? But what do you do for as far as like without getting into specifics? That's I don't want to do that. But how does that work out for you as far as, like a friendship or maybe a relationship? I mean, most people are 20, 21, or they're looking for someone to hang out with, and go out. Is your schedule so busy that is there room enough for something like that? Or are you just focused on getting through school and whatever will happen in that respect, it will be there after school or after where whenever you want it to be, it'll be there for you. Or like do you get lonely in respects of having someone in your life just to hang out with? Is that a concern for you?
That's a really great question because I love to stay focused with my career path, but I also have a very tight knit, close group of friends. I don't have too many. I have a few friends that I love to hang out with and talk to all the time, and I love that. I don't feel like I'm lonely. I always have that support system with my parents and with my close friends. So
And, and
it's
you're and you're and you're a reader. I've always felt
yes,
like if you
yeah.
read, you'll never be alone.
Exactly, exactly, yes.
I believe that. If you love to read, you'll never be alone.
Yeah,
You
that
always
is very
you
true.
always have someone to hang out with. Um, okay, so what is next for you? I'm looking at your IMDb page.
Yes,
You got a lot coming up here. Um,
I do.
Probably would be able to guess which one I could probably guess which one that has the axe in it. Um, uh, Surfer Girl, right?
No, no, no.
What has been your favorite part that you've played? I mean, what role are you most proud of? If we all came up to you today and we didn't know who you were, and we walked up there and said, Katrina, what movies would you recommend me to watch? Because you're just starting out. But which movie would you recommend us to watch of yours?
I loved to be the girl who dies actually in the film. That's probably was my favorite part to play because it's completely different from who I am in reality versus in that whole new different realm. So
I'm sure your
and plus
dad.
I had so much fun to act
I,
in that role. So
I'm sure your dad, when he came back from outside, I'm sure he saw that. I'm sure he saw that. I'm sure he's like, he was like, because he always asks the parents like, what is it like? You can ask a lot of you can ask the you can ask an actor what's worse, doing a love scene or doing or death scene. And for the love of God, everybody says the death scene is the one the parents get the most. They get warped out the most. It's like I don't want to see my kid die. Um, so did your dad see you when you were covered in blood?
He did. Yes, he did. He did. He saw the whole thing. It was from head to toe, all covered in red paint, food
Mhm.
dye coloring, and I still have a memory of it on his car that he still needs to wash, like in his interior of his car. So,
Now, I'm just personally myself, if I'm the actor sitting there, with the axe and I just done that deed and they call cut and then the girl's dad walks through the door, I'm probably exiting stage right, at the double quick. I don't know how this axe got in I have no idea how this happens, sir. Your daughter's a lovely person. Um, yeah, let me get out of here. Hey, Andre, how are you? How are you? Glad you're here, all the way from New Zealand. So you have an international audience here. Um,
it's great.
so what do you what's your goal right now for 2025? What are as this year comes to the end, what's your goal set looking like for 2025?
My goal set is to finally complete my young adult novel, which I'm really excited for, and find a traditional publishing agent that can help me find a traditional publisher at the very end. So that is my big goal right now to do.
And so you're 20, so you're a junior in Emerson, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So are you gonna try to graduate next year, or will that be in 2026?
It will be in 2026.
Okay, okay. All right. That sounds you got your goals planned. Um,
Yes.
of course, the book would be very exciting if you can get that published. That would definitely be well, that one and the cat book. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
you release two books during a year. That's pretty good. A lot of writers have a hard time getting one out. Not looking at you,
Right.
not looking at you, George R. Martin. So finish a damn book for a change. So what do you guys? Let me slow this down a little bit. What are you planning to do as far as the music go? Is that another goal for you too, is to take to the next step and and
Yes. Yeah.
perform underneath your name wig? Or
Correct.
is that gonna be your musical handle when we see you
Yes.
soon? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Big. Yes.
I'm sure you'll start recording something sometime soon.
Oh, I
What's your
definitely will.
what's one thing? Let's do this. What's three things that you want to work on yourself for next year? Like what are three goals you like to improve on for 2025?
Taking risks, trusting my gut, and embracing a change for the better in my work.
Yeah, I don't know how you can get more stuff into your schedule than what you already have. Um, we definitely would want to tell you to relax and enjoy the view as you're driving because if you're bent over and you're driving around if you're racing around a car track, you're not seeing anything on the outside. The only thing you see is just yourself. You don't want to do that. You want 20 years old, the world's your oyster. You could do or be anything you wanted to be. And
Exactly.
definitely I hope that you take the time to go out there and explore that, all your options. And again,
Yes.
again, hats off to your parents for doing such a great job. You're very well spoken. You're very
Thank you.
polite. Yeah, you're very graceful. And it's been
Thank
a
you.
delight talking with you. I'm
Yes.
going to ask the
Thank
chat real quick here if they have any questions for our guest. Do you have any questions for Katrina? I'll have to give him a couple minutes here. I know Steven will
you.
have. I know. Let's see. Well, let me go back up here, and I think they're talking about horror movies here. Let's see. I'm gonna have to show her the photos where the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was filmed. I've been to the gas station plenty of times. Yeah, I did an interview with a guy he followed the guy who did the set design for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He named Bob Burns. He did a documentary on him. Great guy. Let's see. Let's see. No questions? All right. Well, I think they asked them all throughout the interview. I think this will happen. I want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with us today. Katrina, I
Yes.
really do appreciate it so much. I hope you'll come back soon when the horror movie comes out that you can talk about when
Oh,
it
yeah.
is. You know what though, it would be hard to watch now because now we know you and see how incredibly sweet you are. It's gonna be very hard to watch you get an axe in the head. And, you know, it's gonna be
Oh,
like we'll probably be booing and throwing a popcorn at the screen when that happens. Um, but tell your dad that there was a lot of people that were on his side with that. I
I
would have a
will.
hard time watching that too. Um, and oh, thank you so much, Vilma. I appreciate that. Um, I want to thank you, everybody, to coming out and supporting the chat today. We talked to Katrina. I'm glad you guys were engaged and enjoyed her as much as I did and talking to her. And she will be back. You heard her say it, so she'll be back. And it's always cool to catch the rising star. It really is. It's the favorite part about doing a show like this is catch you when you're rising. I'd rather interview someone like you than a big established star. Tell you the truth. It's a lot more fun to watch you watch you grow, and don't burn yourself out. Don't burn yourself out. Uh,
Yeah,
nope, nope, don't do that. All right,
I
boys and girls, that's gonna wrap it up for us today. We're not done though. We're not done. On Saturday at 4 o'clock, at 4 p.m. Eastern time, we'll be helping Joe Cornett will be here. Joe Cornett will be talking about his new book. See, a fellow writer, called a Prayer for the Damned and other stories from the Old West. He will be here at 4 p.m. and we'll be talking about his book and the process in writing it. And then me and the Cheetah, we're heading on over to our friend Eric's channel Saturday night for a roundtable with him and Frenzy. And we'll be there, I think, about 9 p.m. I don't know what we're talking about. I'm just showing up. I'm bringing snacks. Um, well, that's a good last question for you. What's your favorite snack to have at the theater?
Cherry Nibs by Twizzlers.
Uh, now, have you ever snuck snacks inside a theater?
Oh, oh, yes. Oh, yes.
All right, that's our
Um,
girl. That's our
oh,
girl.
yeah. Oh, yes.
Everybody has to. I think we've all learned how to smuggle snacks inside the theater. All right. Thanks so much for coming out tonight. We will talk to you soon. 10:30 on Hobbs Horrors channel. The midnight hour takes place. Stay right where you're at, Katrina. And to the chat, I'm going to say goodnight to you here. We will see you on Saturday afternoon right here for Joe Cornett. And I'm looking forward to seeing Joe again as a dear friend of the show, and we can't wait to talk some Western movies with them, Western novels and movies. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Peace. Ugh. If I try to take that off, then it will malfunction.